Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to the Adams Brothers podcast. I'm here alone by myself this week here, but it's all good. I'm joined currently by former Broward Sheriff Office Colonel Al Pollock. And Mr. Pollock was has been in law enforcement long time. He was also a candidate for sheriff, I believe twice already, Mr. Pollock. Am I correct? I know you were in 2024.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to let Mr. Colonel, former BSO Colonel Al Pollock introduce himself, and we'll go from there.
First of all, good afternoon, to everyone, and it's an honor to be on your show today, sir. We always speak the truth, whenever, we come on. I was with the Broward Sheriff's Office for 40 years. I retired as a colonel. I started out as a patrol deputy, and I retired in 2017 as a colonel. I worked in different areas of the Broward Sheriff's Office, from patrolman, detective, sergeants, colonels. So I'm enjoying, retirement for the moment. And
that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to have you here with us, and you're enjoying your entire retirement. Are you doing anything else? Are you working anywhere else right
now? Yes, I'm helping out, some friends, in their businesses, and I'm also, can't stop volunteering, helping these kids. I got grandkids now, so my grandson, he's playing sports, tackle football. So he's 6 years old, so I've been coaching him and helping him out, as much as I can.
Yes, and how is it to convert from so many years, 40 years in the Broward Sheriff Office? How is it to all of a sudden go back to, to civilian life? How was that transition?
The transition was good. I never stopped, I'm who I am. I mean, I was doing the same thing I'm doing now, when I was at BSO. I just was doing it in a lesser role, because I spent my days, working at BSO. So in the evenings and on weekends, I gave, all that I could, volunteering for different food banks and different other organizations out in the community. So
okay.
I've always been giving back all my life. That's part of me.
Yeah. I met you through Elgin Jones, and Elgin always talked very highly of you. Always, always. I mean, he. The first time I remember him telling me about you was probably about maybe 15 years ago. He said, "Wayne, I want you to meet." He was up and about, and he was like, "I want you to meet someone named Al Pollock." And I'm like, "Okay." I said to myself, "I know I heard that name somewhere before. I just couldn't remember." And when I finally did meet you here in Deerfield, man, it was a pleasure to meet me. You was always professional, courteous. When Scott Israel was there, you was always courteous. So you was always a stand-up law enforcement officer.
Absolutely, Wayne. But believe it or not, I came to Broward County in 1977. The first city I lived in was Deerfield Beach from Miami. When I transitioned, when I started with BSO. Deerfield was my first home in Broward.
Oh, really?
I love Deerfield. It's home to me.
Why you left?
Transition, things happen.
Yeah.
I lived in Deerfield Beach, man. I didn't know that much about it, so when I got the job in October of 1977, I moved up from Miami in the first place. I just moved up to Deerfield. For some reason, I bypassed Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, everybody. And I just moved to Deerfield, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, the community is just, they show the love.
Oh, yeah.
They show it. And that's what I fell in love with. I mean, people don't realize Deerfield is a beautiful city. They go from the ocean to the sawgrass.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. My family has been here since 1913. The Adams family. Right. My Adams family has came here. My dad's family came here in 1913, and it's like so many generations have been here since then. And
and that's what I love about it, because I met so many people, like you said, it was generations. People stay, they don't leave, and it's fourth and fifth generations, still living in Deerfield. People they just love it so much.
Yeah.
And that's what I fell in love with, the community, the people. Just so much you can do in Deerfield. You don't have to leave to go anywhere else.
You sure don't. You sure don't. You know, I know I didn't tell you when we first talked weeks ago, because we were still trying to put something together. We knew what we were going to talk about today was going to be the escalating cost of services rendered by the Broward Sheriff Office, and in response, definitely Pompano Beach, the city of Pompano Beach, has been in discussion largely by the rising cost of associated with the BSO contract. BSO has been in Pompano Beach, serving Pompano Beach, I believe, right now for 25 years. And the city's payment to BSO increased from 53 million in 2022 to 63 million in 2025, with a proposed budget of 72.8 million for 2026. And it also said here, I'm reading from, it says, Mayor Rex Harton acknowledged the good work BSO is doing, but stated the cost is a major concern as public safety consumes over 50% of the city's taxes. And I wanted to get your professional thoughts on what the public might not be seeing in those rising costs, because I know looking at certain things here in Deerfield, we seen that a lot of the rising costs was going to high upper management staff. So I just wanted maybe you can touch on and tell us a few things that the public don't know, why the costs are incurring with the Broward Sheriff Office, with municipalities across Broward County.
Well, let me start off by saying one of the reasons why the cities to join the Broward Sheriff's Office was supposed to be for cost saving, not as much as cost increasing. And the way it all started out was the sheriff's office was supposed to bring in, the better services, which they did, the better equipment, the better everything, and so that way, it can cut costs. The cities had, they didn't have to go about paying all of the financial obligations, that they had. So, but I've seen over the years a tremendous increase. I mean, an increase that I think, to me, seemed to be too much. And I used to deal with the budgets at the Broward Sheriff's Office. I dealt with it, personally for 4 years. When I was a colonel there, I was in a position, to oversee all of the contract cities and everything. And one of the agreements that we've always had, even from the interceptions of the cities. I was with BSO when BSO merged with the city of Deerfield Beach. I was there. I worked up in Deerfield Beach, helping out, the transition during that time period. And all the cost savings are fine until you get involved with it. And then all of a sudden, everything seems to skyrocket. I understand prices go up, but what they're asking for now is too much. It was my understanding they was asking for an asking price of 10% for law enforcement and 11% for fire. And I think it went down now somewhat as the months go on. So they dropped it down to about 11% overall. I'm not really sure on that figure yet, but that's a lot of money, Wayne. And the reason why I say it's a lot of money, I don't see you getting what you pay for. You can go through the city of Deerfield Beach and you don't see that many law enforcement officers like you used to see anymore. Okay, the city was paying for that. Where's the visibility? Okay, they used to be everywhere. We was on the parks. We was at mostly every event that was occurring in the cities. There was deputies there. Okay, all of the football games and all, and it was at no cost, to those organizations. We was just there, to support and serve, and be a part of the community. And it's just the rising costs. And that's the problem. Don't get me wrong. I know the cost of housing goes up, food and everything else, but you can only take so much from that dollar. And law enforcement has really taken a lot out of the dollar. I mean, the contracts that we had when we was there was in place for the cities. It was more or less a 5% increase each year. And if it was something special that you really needed for those cities, then you can go to the city managers and you can go to the mayors and you all can work it out and you can come to an agreement for it. And things like that will occur. But the way it's going now, from what I see and from what I'm hearing from different sources within the organization, the rising costs where they're taking money and they're just spending it freely. Let me use that word, freely. Okay, nobody's being held accountable. See, there was a time where when we had contracts, we sat down with the city managers. The community knew about what was going on. We had community-based meetings where they was informed on, hey, we're going to add X amount of deputies. This is what they cost. So everybody have a buy-in. You know where your money is being spent. When we selected a chief of police in the agreement, it was supposed to go like we submit 3 names to the city, and the city had a choice once they interview those 3 individuals. If they didn't like it, we give them another 3. Okay, and after the city interviewing, we introduce them to the people in the city. They don't do that anymore. They just put what they want to put in there, and you take it or leave it. That's the way it is. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay,
Yes.
so those little things like that, the cost of our cars and all, I think you can save a lot of money by going on a state bid. And you cut down and do what other cities do. You buy whatever the state bid is, Ford Explorers, or whatever the cheaper version of cars is. We don't need the high-priced, expensive cars riding around.
And I wanted to touch on that one point there, Colonel Pollock. We spoke with our mayor last week, Todd Drosky, the newly elected Deerfield Beach Mayor Todd Drosky, and we spoke with Vice Mayor Ben Preston, and I believe it was Mr. Drosky. I believe I'm correct. Mayor Drosky said that one thing that he see in the contract was that Deerfield Beach pays for the Broward Sheriff Office vehicles.
Sure.
But when the vehicles have been used and they're auctioned off or whatever, the city of Deerfield Beach gets no money from the sale of the vehicles.
That is true, and he's telling you the truth, and that's not right. This is what I'm saying. See, they're taking money from the city, but when they sell the vehicles, where's the money going? The city pays for those. The city pays for those radios. The city pays for those guns and those other types of equipment and stuff that you get. The laptops and the uniform. All that stuff is paid for by the city. The city get nothing free. The city even pay for. The city even pay for the fuel, the fuel cost. Okay, they pay for each deputy of Broward County, each city. But see, when you start commingling money and start doing other things with, saying that we got one pot. No, you don't have one pot. What they should do every year is give the city a budget. The city, they do create a budget, but let the city know what you spent and how you spent their money. Every year, starting at the end of September, the city should get a closeout budget for that particular year of contract service. That's the way you do business and say, hey, this is where your money was spent. These are the programs we had. These are the just give them a whole, synopsis of everything. And then if you sell a city car, give them back the money.
Yeah.
Money should not go to the county. It's supposed to go to the cities.
Well, who negotiates those contracts? I know here in Deerfield, it was said when we had a position here some years ago called the Public Safety Director. That was a position that was put in here, and it was said years ago here that the Public Safety Director at that time, which was our current city manager, Rodney Brimlow, he was hired as the Public Safety Director back then, and it was said that the Public Safety Director would look at the contracts, being that I guess they would looked at it that Mr. Brimlow was actually a officer, so he would know the ins and outs of the contract. But I'm just trying to figure out the negotiations. How is that getting past what we're talking about now, Mr. Colonel Pollock? How is that getting passed though?
let me say this to you now, okay? Moving forward, let's stay moving forward. The city manager you got in place now,
Rodney Brimlow.
he used to work for me as a deputy.
Mm-hmm.
I know him coming up through the ranks of BSO. He's a no nonsense guy, and he holds people accountable throughout his his role as supervisors, all the way up through when he was chief, and also as city manager. If it's money to be found, he's gonna find it. He knows the ins and outs of BSO better than any city manager in this county right now. I would say that he's the number one guy because he worked there. He knows the in and out. He knows the financial part. He did it himself. You can't fool him. You can't move money over here. You can't hide this and you can't do that. It's what I'm trying to say. So you got a city manager. I got the utmost respect for him, when it comes to that position. So I believe you're going to see some changes, with him. I just think that the people of Deerfield should support him and get behind him because he's going to find it now. If it's there, he's going to find it. That I can tell you. When he was chief, he couldn't do much because he worked for the agency. But now he doesn't work for the agency, and he can get a lot of things done. So I believe you are going to see a big turnaround. You're going to see some things, being moved around, just like the city of Pompano. They want a 27% increase this year. Just this year. This is just for year one. We're not talking about a 3-year. Most of the contracts that we signed with the cities up to 5 years. With a 5-year, increase, per year, sort of, because things go up. Deputies, employees have to get raises, whether it's 4, 3, 5%, during that time period. So the cities pay for all that too now. Right. So with that said, we don't know what year 2 gonna be like or year 3 gonna be like. Yeah. Pretty soon it's gonna be $100 million. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And because the sheriff this year he's asking for 1.5 billion from the county. 1.5 billion. And he's hitting up all of these cities. Okay, why is it that Lauderdale by the Sea is paying more? I think they're paying more than Deerfield. I mean, I think they're asking, they're requesting more from them, than they are Deerfield Beach this year. That's a little small city. So I don't know where they come up with these numbers from or how they going about doing it, but they ain't got the right people there. Let me say that. They don't have the best interest of the people of Broward County, and for the cities, that they're in.
Yeah, because Deerfield Beach, I'm reading right now off the website, Deerfield Beach, which is District 10 here. Deerfield Beach has a operating budget, which we were contracted in 1990, city services in 1990, and they say the district has an annual operating budget of approximately $27 million, which provides 153 positions, including 1 district captain, 3 lieutenants, 13 sergeants, 119 deputies, 6 community service aides, 3 administrative staff, 1 crime analyst, and 7 parking enforcement specialists. That's here just in Deerfield Beach. And our budget, law enforcement currently right now, if I'm exact, 60% of the operating budget. And also here we contract for BSO fire rescue service or fire services or whatever you want to call it here in Deerfield Beach. And I know there has been calls. I mean, it is very alarming. I mean, you can't sit and ignore a budget that's 60% that law enforcement is public safety is 60% of the current budget here in Deerfield Beach. And we're not going to be able to sustain that too much longer.
You're either going to have to raise people's taxes. I mean, really significantly raise their taxes, or some services are going to have to be cut. Okay. And that's a hard pill to swallow, when you come to an administrator, we talking about closing libraries or parks or something, because they're the first ones to get hit. We go after the educational and the parks, things, that's going to benefit the community, because you're going to need public works to clean the streets and to do what they do best, when pipes and things burst and everything else, carry on. So, that's an infrastructure that is truly, truly needed. Everything is truly needed, But I do think that we can find the right solution, the right numbers, if the sheriff's office can be held more accountable to their spending process. Because as big as the sheriff's office is, they were supposed to bring to all the cities a cost-saving measure by joining together. That's what it was all meant to be. Why do Deerfield need to be with BSO if BSO cannot save them money? Why does Pompano need to be there? They merged together. They came together back in those contract days because there was a money-saving issue. The cities recognized that. But now all of a sudden, it's gotten blown up that they can do a better job. Let me give you a quick example right quick.
Take your time.
And it's another county, okay? Aventura was having a problem in Dade County. They needed more police officers. They were having a burglary problem, people robbing, because they got the big luxury mall there called Aventura Mall.
Yes.
And everything else was going on back in the days. So what happened was Dade County was not being responsive to their needs. The Dade County Sheriff's Office today was not being responsive to their needs. They got together, very smart people got together from that community, and they said, wait a minute, how much taxes are we paying to Broward County? So they in turn started their own police department. It's been going phenomenal ever since then. I mean, they got everything that you can ask for in a police department. They was the first, and then everybody else followed suit. You got Key Biscayne, Doral, everybody. They just start breaking the loose. Where BSO was merging with departments, they were separated because there was so much money involved, but it wasn't being spent correctly. They wasn't being responsive to the people. See, law enforcement, we have to be responsible for the people and to the people. And that's not happening. Again, when you go home today, look around and just see how many officers, did you see pass by.
Well, I can say this.
Everybody. Not you used to. You used to be able to see a BSO deputy everywhere. You couldn't turn a corner, man. If you were drinking a beer, you were scared to drink one, man. Hey, man, I think I'll wait because you never know when BSO was everywhere. We had that reputation. Everywhere. You can go to the airport today and fly out and turn around and come back. You never see a deputy nowhere. It's like sometimes. People say that to me all the time. They go, BSO used to be the safest place, man. You go to the airport, you saw a deputy at every terminal. Every terminal. There was a car park there and a deputy. They go, wow. People was impressed. You go out to the airport now, they call and tell me they walk around waiting on their flight for 2 hours. They never see a deputy.
Yeah.
They come back. They go to other airports around the country. When they step off the plane, there's a police officer there. They go, what is going on in Broward County that we don't get the same type of service?
I want to say this here, Mr. Pollock, Colonel Pollock. From this, just me personally here in Deerfield Beach for the last, I would say, 20 years now, I can come outside on my street and I very rarely see a deputy. And this has been an ongoing problem, which people in the community has been talking about here in Deerfield Beach, right here in my District 2. That has been an ongoing problem for about 20 years. And one of the complaints was in the past, the police were not friendly. I mean, they'll ride by you even now. To be truthful with you, they'll ride by you now and look you right in the eye, and you wave. Sometimes they'll beat, sometimes they'll not. And I always have said this at community meetings that you can't expect to get a level of cooperation if no trust is there. If at least, like you say, get out the car and give the taxpayers what they paying for. At least get out the car. Now I'll say this. My grandson tells me, he's in there now. He tells me sometimes that they have a deputy here in Deerfield Beach on the basketball course. The deputy will come over there and shoot ball with them. They need to, yes, we need to see more visibility from our deputies. And what you're saying, you used to couldn't even drink a beer. I mean, you would be scared to drink a beer because that's how BSO was. Their visibility was there. Now you're right. You're actually, and that's no knock on them, because I don't want them to look at this and say, well, it's a knock on them because they need to be more visible. But I don't want them to think that what we're doing now is an attack on them.
There's a difference between harassing people for that,
right,
foolishness, and just being visible. I'm talking about just being visible so people can see you, man. So they feel safe, they feel comfortable. Okay, but you're not the only one. You go from West Park to Deerfield, everybody says the same thing. Okay, they they say that they don't have an employee shortage, a shortage of deputies. They say they feel they this, they that, but nobody's seeing it. Okay, where's the proof? Because if if Deerfield's supposed to have 153 officers, where are they, man? What are we lacking? What do we got? 120, 100, 25. Tell us, talk to us. But see, nobody knows what's going on the inside.
Right.
We don't want you to know. But where's the? See, we all, when we running for stuff, you know what I mean. When we're running for office, we all complain and we say things about, oh, we're gonna be transparent, we're gonna do this. And when you get there, they don't do anything. Okay, they just all talk, man. You don't have to talk about it, just do it. Show me. Okay. How about putting some deputies? We used to have bike patrol, man.
Yeah, I don't even see no bike patrol no more.
They got nothing. It don't exist. Okay.
I once used to see them at least every now and then on the three-wheelers. Right. I thought the three-wheelers were very effective.
Nothing. You don't see any of that. You don't even see motors riding around anymore. Guys on motorcycles coming through the neighborhood. You see nothing. That's what I'm saying. That's why you have these street takeovers with these kids. That's why these kids do what they do. Because there is no police around. Except for when you dial 911. And then, hell, you better hope they answer the phone then. And you can get somebody to come out.
Yeah.
And without an attitude, when they show up. Because a lot of times they come with an attitude. Why you call me? What do you want me to do? Well, why did I call you?
Yeah. I saw that over I saw a lot of those attitudes over the last
and people don't,
30 something years here of them being here. I was on the receiving end of a lot of those attitudes.
Everybody's on that receiving end, and you don't have to be that way. Trust me.
Yeah.
But they don't realize when they want raises, who do they have to go to? When the commissioner and the county commissioners and all those people in charge, our elected officials tell you, no, you ain't got nobody but the people to come in and speak for you. Or say yes. Give them what they need. We need this and that. But see, when you turn on them, sir, and you don't treat them right, you ain't got nobody. You're on an island on yourself. You're all alone. So.
And we also saw those budget hearings, especially last year. We saw with the county commission. I know we saw. I believe that was County Commission Gellin. I believe his name was, and the sheriff. I mean, they really went at it last year. On when they showed it on the news over the budget,
overspending on the budget. All the money right now has been going for the gym. He was 1.5 million over budget with the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's uncalled for. Stuff like that. Especially when deputies can take that kind of stuff and put it into you can buy defibrillators. There's a lot of things you can do to help save people's lives. Non-lethal weapons. You can put more of them on the streets, instead of going out killing people, you can save their life, by using non-lethal weapons. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of things that they can do, and spend money more wisely. But see, when it's not your money, you can do what you want to do, and nobody holds you accountable. The city's got to hold you accountable. They got to make demands from you and say, this is what we want, and this is where it's going to be, man. You got to give us what we want, to continue business like this.
Yeah.
So, from my understanding, Pompano is very seriously considering going back to their own police department because of the rising costs, and the people are not getting what they pay for. Crime is up.
Mm-hmm.
The gun violence is up in that city. You can't come in there and talk about you running an operation for 15 days or 10 days, and all of a sudden you go away and don't come back for another year, man. You're not doing nothing. That's nothing but a Band-Aid, man. For a minor wound, okay? You gotta stay put, man. You gotta come in there and let people see you. Okay? And I think we can truly stop a lot of this if we start holding BSO accountable and stop just giving them free passes. They gotta come to the people. You don't go to them, they need to come to you, to wherever you all have meetings at, and explain to you, tell you what's going on. That's what they get paid to do.
So when they come to a stalemate, Colonel, I don't know if you was in the room with those type of negotiations went on, when they come to a stalemate, when they come and bring the contracts to the city, and the
Yes.
city manager and the administration, the city
Right.
officials, the elected officials look at it and they say no, what is the next what is
Well,
the next step from there from
well,
BSO? How do
well, what we have to do, you have to compromise. Okay, we've worked with cities before, and they say, "Hey, can you help us out with our budget? Can you cut here? Can you cut there?" And we go back and we can cut some things. There are things that we can do, to cut. Okay, and that's how we do it. We work along with them. They said, "Give us a year, we can rebound back." We've done that, with other cities before. We've compromised. Certain things we just can't buy right now, and we got to do without. Or we don't get any new vehicles this year. They can hold on for another year. There are things that we can do to save money, but you're not going to solve anything by just getting an attitude and walking away from from any type of negotiation. You gotta work it out, and we've always worked it out. And if you want to be a part of that city enough, you'll find ways to cut. There are ways. I can tell you that right now. There are ways.
yeah and one thing I always saw when those negotiations get contentious, which I always see and I always hear this term. I mean, I saw Sheriff Tony say it numerous of times that he's not going to compromise public safety for dollars. So how are we ever going to get past that hurdle? Because it seems like once that is thrown out there, it's like the residents will go to bowing in. And they give in and they just fall back. And I think the elected officials fall back most of the time because that when I know here, whenever you hear the word jeopardizing public safety, people go in an uproar here.
Well, I guess the people want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because evidently you want to pay for it. That's good. Go ahead and pay for it because they're going to take you up to the $100 million mark pretty soon. You at 50 some percent, like some cities at 50 some million, like Pompano will jump to 72 million. What's going to be next year? 85 million? Then 95. I'm serious.
Yes, no, it's going to be $100 million.
$100 million
within the next 5 years.
The next 5 to 8 years, and if you took a city police department, it wouldn't cost you that much. That? Come on, really? Seriously.
But
because other cities are functioning the same size as Deerfield, and their budget is not like that. Pembroke Pines, okay, these are cities that are mostly similar. I think Deerfield may be a little bit bigger land-wise. I'm not sure, but you got cities that you can compare in this county and outside the county with manpower and everything else, with how many officers they got and all that, and you can pretty much judge. And they're not paying as much for theirs, so why is ours? I'm just being honest. And the officers get more than what BSO makes. So the math ain't mathing, okay?
Yeah, and I know a lot of the pros that a lot of people were saying for getting BSO in the first place here in 1990. I remember, and I also hear it echoed now about the helicopter. They were saying we were still paying our city taxes and we were still paying for the county, and then the county was charging us for the helicopter, or BSO, whoever was charging us for use of the helicopter back in the days with Deerfield.
What people were paying for was for the lorrying taxes, that comes out of it. Those are the county taxes that they pay. And let me say this to you: if you woke up tomorrow and say BSO is out, by law, BSO got to still protect your city, and they still have to respond and do things. Okay, they're the sheriff's office. They can't say no to people. They have an obligation to protect the people of Broward County. Okay, they can't say, "Oh, well, we ain't coming and we can't do this." No, you can't. You have to go. If a person in Coconut Creek needs BSO police service, we have to respond, man. You can't say no to people. Oh, well, that's not us. We ain't coming. And Coconut Creek said, ain't coming. We have to go. You are a deputy sheriff for the county. That's our responsibility, just to serve, man. You have to help people. We have always, during the time we was there, we was very cognizant of the prices going up and all that, because we didn't want to price ourselves out of the market. When we was there, and all the sheriffs, that I worked for during my tenure there, we always was concerned about the prices and keeping the prices and holding it down. And everybody knew that, Even with the county budget and all, it's only so much that you can go to, and the deputies knew it. See, but what happened is when you fall behind in raises for your employees, and now you're trying to make up for it because you're losing everybody, that's where the money falls upon the cities at now. So that's what's happening. A lot of this money is going to go to give deputies a raise that they never gotten in over the many years. They got a raise, but they got like 3%, 4% when everybody else starting out, certain cities at $72,000. But see, if you have been doing that periodically every year and along the way, now all of a sudden you need all this money, to make up. That's what's happening. Because BSO, the deputies are not getting paid and they're leaving. So they're going to other agencies because of the cost of living in Broward County, the housing market and everything else here. But the problem of it is they wouldn't be in that situation if you would have maintained it along the way. The money was there. Why not give it to them? How about leaving all these other towards and thing along? And see, the helicopters and all that other stuff, it's already, your tax already paid for all that stuff. You get all that service. You don't pay BSO extra for that. You don't pay BSO, oh, I need a helicopter today. Okay, they're going to fly out and then you charge them. You can't do that. Okay. That's the service, that's given, to everybody. Right. That's a service, that we give, to, that's a countywide service. That's the purpose of us merging with cities and everything. We offer those kinds of services.
Yes. Right. And I'll say this, we got to draw a line somewhere, because I say this, Colonel Pollock, at the meetings, they bring the law enforcement up and they acknowledge them, and that's cool. I'm good on that. I think we can still love our law enforcement, but we can also still tell the harsh truth about the escalating cost of them, because everyone always say, again, what I'm getting at is they say they love law enforcement and this and that, but the budget continuing to keep escalating. And I know here, a lot of the people rightfully complaining about the escalating cost of services in the Broward Sheriff offices. A lot of people that live on the east side of me, they're concerned definitely because their taxes are definitely high. We had one candidate that was running for mayor here some months ago. He said he got a tax bill, I believe, of like $14,000, a little over $14,000 or $15,000, and I don't even know how a person even is just going to be able to sustain paying that just in city taxes and trying to survive off of homeowners insurance on top of that, which probably on the east side, I know if I'm paying almost $3,000 for each policy, wind and regular insurance, I can just imagine what it is on the east side, topped on top of that $15,000. So
see, the problem of it is you got people that are set on fixed income. You got a lot of retirees here in Broward County. People living off of their retirement and their Social Security, and you just said everything keep rising. Plus, you got a fire fee in certain cities that you pay. For fire, where they charge you and all that stuff. But you have to come to a point where we got to say, hey, we gotta have some real talk and say this is it, or this is what we can do moving forward. What can we cut out? You're not compromising anything. Those are the magic words that folks like to use, to get your attention. And then you go, oh, okay. But hell, what are you doing now with what you're paying? I don't see anything different. Why can't we hold the cost to where we're at now?
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
What am I going to get for those $10 and $12 million more? Trust me, I don't need any more manpower right now. We can hold off on the manpower because I'm not seeing anybody now.
Yeah.
So you're going to add another 10. I ain't going to never see that 10 no more.
Yeah. Like I say, Deerfield Beach has, from what I'm reading here off the website, has 119 deputies. Now, I don't know if that's the average or if Deerfield Beach need more deputies. Like you say, I don't know where they are because I hardly ever see anything in traffic. People are complaining about traffic. Deerfield Beach hardly ever used to have fatalities here. Now you look around here on the blotter, all you see now is fatalities. You see people speeding everywhere. The city of Deerfield Beach have installed the speed zone cameras in the school zones, which have been very effective, according to our mayor that we had on our podcast last week. And he was just telling us about some of the speeds that was recorded in the school zones, which was horrible. But I mean, you used to see motorcycle cops everywhere.
But see, Deerfield always had motor cops everywhere. And see, one of the things that we used to do every morning, every day, 5 days a week, as long as school was in for 180 days, you had to have a police officer in the school zone, before school and after school. It was mandatory. Nobody does that anymore. You see what I'm saying? You should have to put cameras up. Should be a cop there. Okay? But these are the problems. Nobody is holding people within the organization accountable for these things. We used to, the BSO used to be in school zones. It was mandatory. If you didn't get a call, you better be in the school zone for that little half hour or that hour take to slow traffic down, issue citations if possible. But you want to educate people about our kids' safety and everything. But that's what we did. It was mandatory. Every school in Broward County that we had jurisdiction over in terms of patrolling, we had people there. And we knew they was there because they had to log it every day. There was accountability every day, Monday through Friday. Those are things that we did, for visibility. We had motors. Deerfield had motors. Where are they?
And I want to touch on that very quick with something that's going on here at the Oviedo McKeithen Recreational Complex at the back. The newly built Johnny Tigner Community Center. We used to have a gate where you can exit out on Natura.
Right.
Okay. And people was using it for whatever reason. I mean, I don't want to even make the argument of it's just an exit, but that gate was open for emergency purposes. Right. All of a sudden, people started using the entry exit point, but we were told they're coming in speeding. So the solution is to just lock the gate and keep it closed. No. And I made that very clear last week to our mayor, Todd Drosky, and to our vice mayor, Ben Preston. No, I'm like, hey, you can lock it. No, my thing is put a deputy back there. Put back there and have him write tickets all day long if you need to. Don't just lock the gate and then cite public safety. That's where I disagree. And I told them that last week that I disagree with that. I believe put a deputy back there, and I don't care. Have him write tickets all day if you have to. But you got to show that show of force to show them that no, you're not going to come through here where people are using the community center and think you're gonna speed.
No. But see, the next point is this. So if you have a problem in your community, right? So what we're gonna do, gate it off. You're gonna put a gate there and lock it, and then you open it when you come out, you lock it when you go back. Yeah. Is that the solution?
That's the precedent I don't want to start. That's why I'm saying now that I think the city of Deerfield, they need to put a deputy back there, which they already saying, I don't know when the deputy's going to get there full time in the Johnny Tigner Community Center, which we named that. We're going to have a little spot named after Deputy Harold Morrison, the late deputy. Rest in peace, Dred. Good deputy here. Great guy. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better community public servant than Harold Morrison, but we just can't keep locking gates and barricading roads, which I saw here in the past, just because people selling drugs or just because someone's speeding. Like you say again, I hardly ever see a road deputy. Let's put they behind over there at that gate over there. Let's put them on the tour. And when somebody come through there, because the people are using the Johnny Tigner Community Center, and they're right. Some of them do come through there flying, but put someone down there to hold them accountable, to hold the speeders accountable. And if you have to sit there, like I said, write $1,000 tickets, then write them.
You are paying for a service that you're not really getting. Where are the deputies? We need visibility. I want to see a patrol car. I don't need unmarked cars running people down and jumping all out on. I need to see markings, see crime prevention. Let people know. Then there's no mistake. Then you can't say you didn't know. Here's the color of the car. Here's the lights on top. Everything is there for you. And I am in uniform. So there's no excuse to say, oh, I didn't know you was a cop. No. But you don't see that anymore. And you're not the only one. There's a community behind Brandsmark over there. I can't think of the name of it right now. But
yeah, Tivoli, Natura Tivoli.
The people over there complain about the same thing. They never see a BSO deputy. Never. They having problems with kids breaking in, cars, just doing a little minor stuff coming all through the community at night. And I'm saying these are things that they brought, to my attention. I said there are some solutions to it. You got to call a meeting and have the police, the district chief, come over there and just tell them what you need. And then if they don't do what you need to do, take it to the next level. And then after that, they have programs. Why don't you get some volunteers? Give them you saw these these citizens on patrol and all that stuff. Yeah, so give them a car and just let them drive around. The yellow lights on. It's a community, okay? But we gotta come together and get these things solved. But just yelling for more money and screaming, "Oh, you're not gonna compromise." What are you compromising? You're not compromising anything. So right now we're being compromised at the money we paying. That's what you're telling me, right?
Yeah, more or less, yes. That's exactly. We're coming up to budget hearings now, and I'm interested.
Right, so I'm gonna need another $10 million. Then when I get that next year, you being compromised. How many times we gonna keep hearing that you being compromised? We can go back and play those tapes over and over again. Stop with the scare tactics, and the foolishness, to get what you want. Just be for real and keep it real with folks. And they can buy into it and they will support you. They'll go along with you. Okay, a lot of times you don't need to add 5 more deputies. How about just 5 CSAs can be cheaper? Community service officers, because they can take away some of the functions that the deputies are doing, like the traffic accidents, little minor reports that deputies don't take, and keep the deputies available for emergency situations. Let them roam, patrol up and down the streets more often and be available for the real issues sometimes. There's a lot of ways that you can go about this thing, but you get the buy-in with the community also because they're paying for it. And you keep them involved so they'll know what's going on. That's all.
I'll say one other thing too that I saw that worked years ago here, and that was the community liaison officers that were here. A lot of them have started working very closely with people in the community here, and a lot of crimes they had started to gain the trust of the people here at that time. The community liaisons around 2017, I would say, 16, 14, 15, 16, somewhere up in there. And then all of a sudden the tragedy at Stoneman Douglas happened, and the change and those liaison people were gone. And I think that's where a lot of the level of trust went away, because we had people here that we were able to confide in if a crime went in. And I know a few that was definitely
Absolutely
in the community that were gaining information about shootings, about a lot of things, and they were gone.
We used to have officers assigned to Stanley Terrace. Remember those things?
Yes, Randy Gresham, Officer Randy Gresham was over in Stanley Terrace for a long time.
Yeah, my wife used to work over there because she used to be a deputy. That's how we met on the job many, many years ago. And they all used to work over there. But this is what we had going, and all of a sudden, everything stopped. Why? We got to get back to what works for us. See, what works on the South End, not necessarily what's good for one city may not be good for Deerfield. It's a unique city that we have to build our agency around what's happening there and the things that we need to get done. Because every city is somewhat different, believe me.
Yeah.
The problem with Deerfield is, like you say, you all get so much traffic, and a lot of the crime that goes on is not from your local kids and your local people. Those are people coming in from the outside, Palm Beach County, and other areas coming in and create havoc and problems. It's Not necessarily the kids that live there now. We can't blame the kids that live there all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Our kids that live there all the time, you know most of those kids, and you see them, and they see us, and they know. See, when you're a good cop, you get to know everybody. You get to know the family members. They ain't in the streets burning rubber in circles and doing all that stuff. These are outsiders just driving through and all of a sudden taking advantage of it. Okay? Seriously. It ain't the one that live down the street from you, around the corner, or your cousins, or your neighbors, because everybody's family.
Oh, yeah.
That's what, okay, we gotta, we're headed to where, like you said earlier, we have to. People, we talk about this all the time. Every time we have meetings, the trust. We gotta cross over. Not you coming to me, sir. I gotta come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All this because you ain't coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I gotta come to you. I gotta break down that barrier. Hey, I gotta speak to you. I ain't waiting on you to speak to me. Okay, I'm gonna say hello to you, wave to you. That was one of the problems we had in a city to the south of you all. People say, "Can you just get the deputies to wave?" We wave at them; they don't even wave back. I mean, they come back. I mean, these are common things. Come on, really?
I would think that if you came over here in my community and I would say probably 89 or 90% would say the same thing that you just said, that it's just a courtesy thing. I mean, I don't just ride by, and because a few people mean mug you, that now that you paint all of us with that same brush. Right. And I think that's what has happened here over the last 30 years. It's just that perception that, and I'll say it, I can say it, it's my podcast here, that black people hate law enforcement, and that's nowhere near the truth. We need law enforcement for law and order. We need them. I mean, we wanna work with them. I mean,
that's the biggest myth and the biggest lie that was ever told. Okay, that's a lie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's not true.
And we were at a town hall meeting. It was a very good town hall meeting. The sheriff had the town hall meeting in Pompano last April of 2024. It was well attended. I mean, there was a lot of people there asking hard questions about the sheriff department. I don't think the commissioner down there, I don't think she's Beverly Perkins. I don't think her and the sheriff really gets along. I know I've seen some articles where I think she might be in favor of, going back to Pompano, at least looking.
Let me say this about the commissioner and knowing her. She just wants what's best for the city.
Mm-hmm.
She is a fighter for her city. She loves her city.
Yes, okay? She do.
And I mean, you ain't. I mean, you talking about a young lady that loves what she do, being a commissioner in that city. She put her city first, man. She loves it. I mean, she's out there. I've seen her. She's out there among the people. She's always out there. People go to her when they have BSO problems because they're trying to get them solved. BSO don't solve them. BSO turned down, because I have an issue that come up one day where a person felt as though he was mistreated by a BSO in Pompano. He went to the Pompano station. They told him, because the deputy work in Deerfield, they can't do nothing for you. You got to go to Deerfield. So the guy left Pompano, drove to Deerfield. We went to Deerfield. Deerfield told him they can't do nothing for him. He got to go down to Fort Lauderdale to internal. So, I mean, these are things that goes on. And what she's trying to do is knock down those barriers that when they come to her, she can reach out to somebody in administration other than a low-level supervisor or sergeant who can't do anything and go to the top, which she should, because she's a commissioner. She should be able to talk with a colonel or major and say, hey, how can we resolve this?
Yes.
Or as a commissioner, call the sheriff herself. She's an elected official, man.
Oh, yeah.
Respect we're supposed to give to our elected officials.
Yeah.
They deserve that, man. We voted them in. They wasn't handpicked. They was voted in by the people. So I believe in giving them, that respect.
And I think, Colonel Pollock, the biggest thing that you said here, and I heard last week, a week before we were on our podcast, and we had one of our someone in the comment section had said a few weeks ago that Deerfield and Pompano need to take a real serious look when they do, if and when they do a study, take a real serious look at it, because I mean, even for Deerfield Beach to even think about trying to go back, they would have to take a bond or some type of, they would have to, and I don't even know if that would even pass right now.
Let me say this. I would hate to see that happen, to be honest with you. But the sheriff's office is going to have to get into agreement with the city managers and the mayors and their elected officials. And they got to do better than what they're doing now. I always want to see us, work together as a team. But for some reason, sometimes we have to get a divorce because you outprice yourself, and they are elected officials. They're going to lose their jobs if they don't do the right thing, or the community don't feel like that they're going to do the right thing. And that's all about, everybody wants to save money,
Mm-hmm.
and you are taxpayer, you want to save too. So you don't want, hey man, I got to pay an extra $1,000 for this and that for what, So they're caught in the middle too, that they're gonna have to make a decision. Is it for the people or for just BSO? And what BSO gonna do next year in year 2? What my cost gonna be then? Or what my cost gonna be year 3? Remember, these are contracts.
Right.
Each year, they subject, to go up. So what's the cost gonna be? What can we do? Now, the startup cost is going to be somewhat of some
and
money.
That's what I was talking about, going to a bond. I don't want no one out there to think that. I don't know. I know the commission will vote on it, but in the startup cost back, they would have to, because we don't have that type of money just laying around to start the police back up. So that's what I'm saying. We would have to somehow get a bond or something.
The startup cost is going to be tremendously, but over the next couple of years, it'll smooth itself out. But you got to remember now, I got to tell you this, a lot of that equipment that the city of Deerfield owns, the cars and a lot of other stuff, that belongs to them. So you do gain some of the property, that the city purchased over the years. Okay. Just like the city of Weston, you take them for example. They buy their own fire trucks, and on their trucks they have owned by Weston but driven by BSO. They got a little slogan on that, right? They own it. So if you want to go, but these trucks and things stay here. So those are things you always want to see all of us join together, because we can save money when Pompano, Deerfield, all of us come together, Coconut Creek, and we all share resources. I've been saying it for years. We got all these cities here. We don't need 25 SWAT trucks. What I mean by that, everybody got to have 1, 2, 3. For what? Let's work together. If you need one, I'll bring mine. You know what I'm saying? That's how you save money. This utilization is what we should be talking about.
Well, I remember hearing that word about, I remember hearing that years ago about doing that, not just with the communication, but I was hearing that word thrown around at one time.
Law enforcement, fire department, who cares? Whoever's closest to it, get the call, man. Let's work together. Fire rescue the same way. Let's work together. We're here to save lives and work together, and at the same time, save taxpayers' money.
Yeah. That's the most.
I know things cost and things go up, but come on, it's going to be a point where something's got to give. You all ain't going to be able to pay.
Yeah. Well, it's getting there, especially in the city of Pompano. Deerfield, like I say, 60% of our budget, and I'm going to be very curious. Our budget hearings start here on July 9th. I'm going to be very curious. I know I heard you, I believe you say 10% that the sheriff is actually going.
I think it's around 9% roughly.
9%.
9 to 10%. Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood, I think it is.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I saw some numbers last. Yeah.
And that's still pretty hefty there.
And not only that, next year too, it's going to go up again. Now, I'm just telling you. You're going to break even. You ain't going to get a zero. Something's going up again next year. And that's what I'm saying. But we all got to know, where's this money going? Where's it being spent? Where's Deerfield money at? Where's Deerfield's? This is Deerfield's budget. It went from October 1st to September 30th. Okay, where's our final report and where's all our money at? For personnel, for everything. It should be a zero balance.
Yeah.
At the end of the year.
Yeah. I would also hope, as you said earlier, that with like the football games,
Right.
We're already paying for those officers. And I know sometimes at the football games, they have to end up paying extra for that, for the extra officers, or because I heard that they got to have like 1 or 2 sergeants out there at the football games.
At the high school games and all, we do charge the schools and all that stuff because they charge people to come into the games.
Okay.
Right.
What about like little league, like football?
Right. But the little league and all that stuff, it all depends upon the cities. Now, most cities, like Pompano and all, they cover for the officers to be there. They pay for the officers to be there. So it all depends upon the cities, because you got to remember, just throwing this out. If you got 10 people working, you don't want to pull 4 and 5 away from a football game when you have a real emergency, happen. So they bring in extra people, but a lot of times the city will pick up the cost. But if they're there to make money and they're selling stuff and making money and all, you have to pass it on from the vendors, to the law enforcement. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, you have to pass along. Right. You have to pass that cost along. Like you say, at the high school games, they're charging people to come in. So yeah.
People to come in. Just like if you had an event on the park today, just say you just take a park and you're gonna have BSO there and the fire trucks and all this stuff. You shouldn't be charging people to come in and pay to see a fire truck. You should. I'm just saying. And we have.
I didn't know that was occurring.
No, certain places. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Because I remember we had a fire chief. He refused to do it, and I support him 100%. So come on, man. You can't charge people. You want us to come out for your event, but then you're charging people, but you want us to put all this stuff on display. Come on. You can't. Yeah. You got to be careful of that, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not fair. And you making money. If it's for a nonprofit, it's different.
Yeah.
Nonprofits are different. Now we do stuff for nonprofits, but I'm just talking about for people just truly making money and pockets it down now.
Yeah. Well, it's been nice talking to you, Colonel Al Pollock. Let me ask you, any more plans? I know it's early. Any more plans to run for any type of public office?
Let me say this. I'm not going away. I'm here to stay. And I love Broward County, and I love Deerfield Beach. I love all our communities, and I'm not going away. I'm here to stay. And something's coming.
Well, let me also ask you, is it out of the realm of possibility for you to want to be a chief of some municipality here in Broward County? Or maybe
not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I don't mind helping out.
Yeah.
I'll even volunteer to help. It's not about the money. I'll even volunteer to help. Yeah. But no.
Okay. We've been joined by retired Colonel Al Pollock, a 40-plus year employee of the Broward Sheriff Office. And we have had Colonel Pollock on a few times in the past when he ran. We definitely would like to keep using him as our law enforcement analyst on the Adams Brothers podcast. And I want to thank retired Colonel Al Pollock for coming here, giving us his time here on the Adams Brothers podcast. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much, sir. And it's an honor, and I'm always yours. Anytime you call, I'm here. With any subject matter, I'm here to do what I can for you. You've always been there for the community. I love you, brother, and I appreciate you, man, 100%.
Yes, indeed. And I'm running for commissioner here in District 2. I'm gonna run. So I'm gonna be running here, and the next election is in 2027. But I know I can do good here for this city. My heart is in it. I'm not in it for the money. I love my city. How you said earlier about Deerfield Beach, I'm all about Deerfield Beach.
I agree. Just like Beverly, she loves herself. Now she ain't got nothing to do with any other city, but she loves herself for Pompano. And I
Yeah,
love her
yeah,
for that. She
yeah.
she loves Pompano, man. You have to put handcuffs on her to pull her out of Pompano. Because she
Right.
don't leave her city. She loves her city.
Yeah, well, that's like me. I'm like her in that aspect, and it's funny. I knew Miss Perkins ever since the days I used to watch her 25 years ago on the cable, somewhere around that time. She used to be on Media One or Comcast or something in those days on the cable channel 19. I remember, and she was doing like a lot of stuff in the community.
She loves it. She loves
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
telling you, you don't get her stirred up about her. Don't talk. Don't never say nothing negative about Pompano around her now. She gonna
Yeah.
defend her city.
Yeah. Well, we tried to get her on here a few times, and so far we have been unsuccessful. We hope to get her on here. I think she have a lot to offer. We would just love to get her on here and just have a conversation with her. I don't know what she might be thinking. We don't Shanghai no one. You come on here, we're going to treat you with the utmost respect and dignity.
I'll pass it on to her, sir.
You do that. And again, thank you, Colonel Al Pollock. I'm going to come back after Colonel Pollock, and I'm going to do a little short pop-up podcast. So again, thank you, Colonel Al Pollock. You have a blessed day, and God bless you. And we'll be calling on you in the future again.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate everything. God bless you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Good night.